At the end of a gruelling journey, they found themselves at the centre of a political storm. And these are the lucky ones. They found a welcome in McAllen, Texas.
How are you, Nana? ¿Cómo está? Bien, gracias. Muy bien, thank you. Fine, thank you.
For years, this Texan centre close to the Mexican border has been supporting Central American migrants who've entered the United States fleeing crime, gang violence and seeking work.
You see them walk through our doors and their faces reflect a lot of anguish, a lot of stress. I mean, they've been through so much. You can see in their eyes and how much they've suffered along the way.
But these families are now among a rare few let through, seemingly at random, amid a Trump-driven immigration crackdown. This man was separated from his teenage son for 2 days during processing, but he got off lightly.
There
was one boy, 5 years old, and another girl who was 1. They wanted to separate her. Her father was crying a lot.
The Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy has split thousands of parents and children apart, dividing the nation.
We're going to restore the rule of law in our immigration system.
We are enforcing the laws as they exist on the books.
The United States will not be a migrant camp.
Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Oh, hold on.
And I would also say one other thing, these child actors weeping and crying on all the other networks 24/7 right now. Do not fall for it, Mr. President.
How low can you go?
After denying there even was a policy and blaming it on the Democrats, the president has been forced to bow to the onslaught. He now says that families will be detained together but could be held indefinitely.
So we're keeping families together, and this will solve that problem. At the same time, we are keeping a very powerful border, and it continues to be a zero tolerance. We have zero tolerance for people that enter our country illegally.
That may yet be subject to legal challenge. In the meantime, around 2,000 children already separated from their families are being housed in centres like this, largely off limits to scrutiny. These pictures were provided by the Department of Homeland Security. This leaked audio, said to be of children taken from their parents, was not.
What must be going through their mind?
Lawyer Carlos Garcia has been at court in McAllen, helping people who've been detained without their children.
A lot of them are in shock and they just don't know what's going on. I stare into their eyes and they look back at me, and sometimes it's a blank stare. Sometimes they're standing there with their shoulders hunched over. I can just imagine what is going through their mind when they're realizing that they're not going to be able to see their child.
He says the parents don't know where their children are, and it's unclear what'll happen to them, even now that the president has changed his stance.
I don't think anything's going to happen to them. Their child is going to remain in immigration custody, and that child is going to confront an immigration judge by him or herself, a child, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, without any representation.
The crisis came after the Trump administration chose to enforce border entry laws.
His only intention is to be with us, have a better future here.
It's part of a broader immigration crackdown that's been splitting families for months. Anna's husband was deported without warning to Mexico due to an earlier visa issue, while she and her children, all US citizens, remain here. She doesn't want her face shown for fear of retribution from authorities, but she knows there's little chance of reunification in America.
I don't lose my hope. I still dream with the day that I will be receiving his resident card on the mail.
Donald Trump's approach, though, has its vigorous supporters.
What is it that I hear that all this Nazi camp, concentration camp policies are taking place? That's irresponsible, hyperbole.
Conservative radio host Sergio Sanchez is among its cheerleaders.
It's time, and I think the majority of states in this country voted to bring in an outsider, Donald Trump, to try to fix this mess. I never ever hear national media point the finger of blame back in Mexico City or the incompetent, corrupt governments in Central America who are not taking care of these people.
Border Guard spokesman Chris Cabrera agrees.
The interesting part now is you see this, you hear all this news on we're separating families, and there's a very simple solution to stop separating these families, and it's stop coming across the river illegally. You can still come in through the port of entry, you claim asylum there, and you break no law. If you cross at an area not designated as a port of entry, you break that law and you're subject to arrest.
Luis Guerrero is a volunteer who's been seeing people through this bus station for the last 5 years, since the trickle across the border became a flood.
I show them how to go to their destinies, what bus to take. When they go to another station, like they say that from here they go to Dallas, I show them,
Today he was shepherding these families onto a bus to take them far away from McAllen and what they left behind at home.
Tell me about the gangs.
They would have killed me.
Do you know about the Trump administration policy of zero tolerance? Did you fear being arrested?
I didn't know. That's the truth.
They're headed somewhere in America while they can.